Welcome to this week's episode of Gods and Monsters by E.E. King, read by me, E.E. King. Each week, MetaStellar is releasing a new episode of Gods and Monsters, both in print and on audio YouTube. Thank you so much for joining. And now, episode 19, Lonely Journeys. Last week, we met some missionaries who came to China, bringing with them werewolf DNA. Wang Lijun is born a werewolf and kills his little brother, Bao. Chapter 56, Jim, Raybrook, New York, 1984. Rainbow Crow. Most folks think crows are just a black nuisance, but I've always liked them. Maybe it's because people thought I was a pest too. Maybe because crows fly. They wouldn't end up behind bars, at least not usually. They're street smart, they're survivors. Most native tribes respect crows. They thought just seeing a crow was lucky, though I wouldn't say native cultures are famous for their luck. Maybe that's another reason I like crows. I could use some luck. Wolves are the same, wild, free. The Book of Totems said that when the time had come to create the earth, a great council was held. All the animals were invited except Wolfstar. He resented this treatment and looked for ways to express his anger. He began to watch the storm that comes out of the west, who was responsible for traveling the world and seeing that all was well. In his travels, a storm that comes out of the west carried a whirlwind bag in which he kept the first people. Every evening, he would stop and release people, and they would camp and hunt. Seeing an opportunity, Wolfstar sent a gray wolf from the sky to steal the whirlwind bag. While Storm was asleep, the wolf took the bag and ran away. He finally opened it, thinking he might find something to eat, and the first people came out and set up camp. Well, wouldn't you know it? His luck was just as bad as mine, because when the first people realized that there were no buffalo to hunt, they became angry and killed the wolf. When the storm that comes out of the west came upon the first people and the wolf they had killed, he told them to skin the wolf and make a sacred bundle with it, wrapping in it everything that would bring back the memory of what they had done. By killing the wolf, they had brought death into the world. That had not been the plan, but now that was the way it would be. Thereafter, he told them, they would be known as the wolf people. The Skidi Pani, and from this day to that, Wolfstar continues to rise just before dawn, reminding people that it was they who brought death to the world. Figures. People don't like what's wild and free. These tales captured me. They seemed more honest than history. Reality can just be a skin, a casing. God knows, you can't believe what you see. Acid told me that. These stories felt like the soul inside the skin. At home each night, I read about totems, wolves, crows, and coyotes. In the garage each day, I'd create them, though, to be honest, it seemed more like they were creating themselves. One day, I went to work, and there was nothing there. The whole shop and the sisters three had vanished. There was just an empty field where they had been. I hid in my room for about 4 days, just freaking out. I didn't feel crazy, just scared. Shock is like grief. You nurse yourself for a while, and then you go on. Finally, I climbed out from under the covers. I brought a wet, rusty blue Ford pickup, packed up my few clothes, the Book of Totems, and started driving. Driving toward the windows, the sunlight hit my windshield. There on the glass, drawn in ghostly outline, were the silhouettes of roses and birds flying skyward. Chapter 57. Wang Lijun, China, 1966, Lonely Journeys. When the second full moon rises, bringing transformation and hunger, Lijun understands. He is cursed, damned to be forever alone and apart. Every month, just before the full moon climbs into the night sky, Li Jun leaves home and hides in the fields. He strips, secreting a few rags and his clothes in a ditch. At first light, he runs, crouching and naked to the pool. Submerging his body in shallow, murky water, he washes the blood from his face and scrapes the tissue from beneath his fingernails. Emerging muddy but cleansed, he towels the dirt away and dresses, hiding the rags near the house. Late on some half-moon night, when Fan and June Mai are asleep, he will wash the rags, saving them for his next metamorphosis. He tells his father he is staying in the house of a teacher. He is learning to do figures. It will make him more helpful on the farm. His father grumbles, but gives him permission. Since Bao's death, his father has ceased to care. Jun Mai, too, is indifferent. Li Jun is free of obligation, expectation, and hope. The surrounding farms begin to suffer from odd attacks. Livestock and children disappear. No one feels safe. Jun Mai tries to keep Li Jun home. She feels no love, but she doesn't want to be viewed as careless. At 18, Li Jun leaves. He walks for a week to reach the harbor town of Daylin. It is hot and dusty. Travelers are rare. The few there will not stop for the dirty, hairy boy with a single brow. Kind men who dote on children and are gentle with animals beat their oxen till their sides run with blood in their haste to get away from the strange boy. Migrating birds change their routes so as not to fly over him. Even the soft rains that usually feed the land cease to fall. Wang Li Jun is starving when he reaches Daylan. With a few stolen yen, he books a passage on a ship bound for America. It's a 15-day voyage, but rough winds cause a delay. When still at sea, the full moon rises brilliant and deadly. Wang Li Jun locks himself in a cabin, stuffing a towel in his mouth to smother the uncontrollable urge to howl. Wang Li Jun arrives in San Francisco and finds his way to Chinatown along with many other Asian immigrants, unnoticed and almost starved. He takes a job at a butcher shop. At night, he hides in a meat locker, gorging himself on the bloody carcasses of cattle. He leaves at dawn, red with gore. He sleeps under bridges and in alleyways near the bay. The neighborhood is emptied of abandoned cats and stray dogs. Vermin vanish. Homeless men and women disappear. The mayor is commended. The city council applauds. Everyone wins re-election. Wang Li Jun is full. Chapter 58, Jim, The Catskills, 1984, Mountains of the Sky. I drove that ancient pickup all the way out into the Catskill Mountains. Even after that trek, that good old Ford was running strong, still is. I rented a place out in the woods about 10 miles from Green Village, New York. It was tiny, just bed, bath, and stove, but I didn't need more. There was a big old barn on the property I set up shop in. The wood was gray from weather and holy from bugs, but it was fine. The ceiling was high and light filtered in, making loose cobwebs shimmer like strands of rainbow. Funny, I never thought I'd want to go back to the country again, but here I am, enjoying the peace and solitude. Some nights I hear howling, probably just coyotes, but I like to pretend it's wolves. Not that I don't like coyotes. They're amazing critters, survivors, the only large predator that prospers when we try and annihilate it. I'm more like a wolf, unable to adapt, easily exterminated. Coyotes are the crows of the canine world, able to thrive anywhere, clever, cagey, and not very popular. At least I have that in common with them. I've established a routine here. Each morning I go to the barn and weld. Crows, coyotes, and wolves spring flying and running out of my fingers like breath. Round noon, I take a walk, Once or twice a week, I ride out to Green and sell some pieces. Tourists love them. The mountains here are beautiful. Green is the name of the village in summer, orange and red as a sunset in fall. They are sliced by fissures over 1,000 feet deep and high. Swirling brooks tumble down the rocky steps. The locals call these clefts the cloves. The cloves were used as roads across these mountains, first by the natives, then by the Dutch and English. The native name for these mountains is Antares, mountains of the sky. That's how I like to think of them. Chapter 59, Gabrielle, San Francisco, 1984, Flawless Affection. It's unbelievable. Gabrielle is making a living selling his jewelry at a single store. It's lucky for him that the Bay Area is so populated with vampires, or he would not be able to come close to keeping up with the demand. Quickly as he delivers the necklaces, they sell. When Gabrielle is not present, not associated with the pieces, they retain their magic and lose their menace. Since the mystic eye is in the Castro, its customers are usually men, usually gay. The fruits of Gabrielle's hands are irresistible to those desirous of a perfect, unobtainable beauty, a flawless affection, permanent and unchanging as stone. Gabriel never sees anyone in the shop when he makes his deliveries. Still, the sisters have told him to come by at 10:30, a time when most aren't shopping. When he is welding, he feels something akin to peace, linking gems to metal like proteins, like creation. The sisters, though, make him feel uneasy, as if he might not be completely in control of his fate. It's odd and disconcerting. Yet he feels drawn to them in spite of, perhaps because of this. And after each meeting, Gabrielle dreams. Each time, a little longer. Each dream adds a stroke of color to his palette, a dab of violet, a touch of cherry, a smattering of ginger, rushing in like a river to fill the empty places in his soul. Each dream ends in a sky of ash and voices crying in the night. Slowly, one by one, reds, purples, and burgundies dot his monochromic existence. Thank you for joining. Join us next week when... What is the difference between a ghost, a dream, and a memory? Where is the divide between belief and hope? There is a reason spirits wander. As long as you are a nightmare in the dark, as long as someone knows your name, you are not gone. See you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching.